This video covers how to operate the LBC rack oven. The first time you operate the oven, it may be necessary to turn on the circuit breakers located in the control compartment. Also, make sure that the gas is turned on. Close the control door and the loading door. Turn the oven on by pressing the button marked Off On. Select recipe number 1 in the Select Preset display. The oven should now heat until the display indicates that the oven has reached 350 degrees. Let the oven stay at 350 for 30 minutes before baking for the first time in the shift. Select the recipe you will be baking by pressing the left and right arrows in the Select Preset display. Recipe number 1 is for market side French bread. Recipe number 3 is for rolls, buns, and French wheat bread. Recipe number 12 is for other baked products that do not require steam. Recipe number 19 is for heating donuts before glazing. Recipe number 20 is for heating glazed donuts. Be sure to check the wire sheet for proper handling, baking, and bagging instructions. To bake product, open the door, roll in a rack, and close the door. Press the start button to start the timer and steam. Near the end of the bake, observe the product. Add time to the timer if necessary. You can press the up arrow next to the time display at any time during or after the bake to adjust the remaining time. When the alarm sounds and the product is done, press the stop button to stop the alarm. Always use mitts or hot pads to handle hot racks. Once the rack has reached the floor, pull the rack out of the oven. Pull the door handle to release the door latch. Pull the door open slowly to allow steam and hot air to vent into the hood. Keep your face, arms, and body out of the way of escaping steam. Pull down on the front of the rack stop to release the rack. Pull the rack out of the oven and close the door. At the start of the shift, turn the oven on by pressing the on-off button. Allow the oven to heat up for 30 minutes to an hour before baking. It is not necessary to allow the oven to reheat once baking is started. You can bake one load after another during the rest of the shift. At the end of the shift, remove any racks that may be in the oven. Leaving the racks in the oven after the oven is turned off may result in deterioration of the oven rack casters. Leave the loading door open slightly to allow the interior to dry out. Press the on-off button to turn the oven off. Also note that the oven is configured to turn itself off if the oven is on and not used for more than 2 hours. If this happens during the shift, you can simply press the on-off button to turn the oven back on. Here are some helpful suggestions. When loading the oven, make sure that the rack carrier has rotated to the stop position and has lowered. This will allow the rack to engage the carrier. Make sure that the loading door does not close on you when you are loading or unloading. To manually set the oven control, select the preset for the product you wish to bake. You may change the temperature, time, and steam amount by pressing the up or down buttons next to the display. In the event that the control fails, you can use the manual backup controls. First, turn the digital control off. Put the burner and fan switch to the on position. Set the thermostat to 185 Celsius, which is equal to about 365 degrees Fahrenheit. During the bake process, you will need to press the steam button for about 12 to 20 seconds to put steam into the oven. Open the door and load the rack as usual. Time the bake with a wristwatch or other timer. At the end of the shift, be sure to turn the manual backup controls off, since the auto turn-off function will not work in backup mode. If the oven does not work properly, here are some things to check. Listen to hear if the circulation fan and hood blower are working. Check the breakers if the internal circulation fan or hood blower are not working. Check to see if the control is set properly and the thermostat is calling for heat. Check to see that the blower is set to on and the vent is set to closed. Open the control door and see if the gas shutoff valve is on. The valve is on when the handle is aligned up and down. Check to see if the burner status lights are all working when the thermostat calls for heat. If the thermostat light is on and the hood light is not, check to see that the hood has suction by holding a piece of paper up to the filters. If the draft blower and circulation blower lights are out, call for service on the oven. If the steam does not work, check to see that all water valves are on. Check the water pressure on the water gauge. Set the oven to recipe number 1. Press the start button and observe the water pressure. Observe that the water pressure drops when you first press the button, but immediately jumps back up to above 25 psi. If the water pressure does not maintain more than 25 psi, the product will not bake properly. If this happens, contact your supervisor or store maintenance to check and see if the water supply is turned on or that the reverse osmosis system is operating properly. When it is operating properly, the water pressure will be above 40 psi when not steaming and above 25 psi when steaming.